Welcome to Small Steps. My name's Seth Potts, and I want to show you how to use the if function combined with the and, or, and not functions. Uh, did a previous video about the if function, but if you're not familiar with it, if function allows you to perform a logical test on your data, and whether that's true or false, it'll spit out different results for you. So sometimes if what you're looking for is a little more complicated than one if this then that, you can use the and, or, and not combined with it. So we'll dig into some examples and see how those work here. Real quick, the data I'm using is just a real small broken down bit, couple rows, couple columns, but typically I'd use this with a larger set of data. But what we have here is just some auto burglaries and a couple different MOs for pry, unlock, and window break, and then just a short bit of date and the day of week. We'll be using just a couple of these to show how I've used this. Typically would be with sometimes you're looking for like a local trend maybe. I know a lot of times in our area we have a bunch of smaller cities, so it's not just looking in our city, but we share information. And say there's a trend of these auto burglaries coming up all around, and we're trying to see what of ours might be related with a certain MO, certain days a week, things like that that match the area around. That's how I've typically used this. So practical application for it. This if and we'll go through a couple things here with it. So the if and let's just say maybe the trend is happening on Sundays in unlocked vehicles. So maybe this seems to be a lot of church parking lots or anything else that parking lots that are crowded on a Sunday morning. We've had an uptick in vehicles broken into, but no window breaks, no pry, no force use. They're just looking for unlocked vehicles. So that's what we're going to be looking for here. We can use that if function. Starts off the same way, if, and instead of going straight into the logical test, we will go straight into typing and, the second part of this. So the and basically checks whether all of the arguments are true. So this essentially lets your logical test be more than just one item. So I want two criteria to be met for this. So what we're testing out. So logical one would be the first. So we'll do B2. We want that to equal Sunday. And then the second part of that is we want it to be Sunday, and we want E2, the MO, to be unlocked. And then we're in close parentheses. You can keep adding more things in there, but I'm just going to do two for now. So the and has allowed us to replace that logical test for the if function with multiple things we want met. So press comma, go into the value of true. So if both of those are true, we want it to say, let's just say for the sake of spotting a trend, let's just say trend. And we'll put, if it's false, just two quotes back to back like that, which make it a blank. So that is our formula for and. And when we look at it here, we just have one that meets that criteria. So we only had one that happened on Sunday that was unlocked. So if we go on to the if and or, it functions pretty much the same way as and. We'll just put that or there, and it checks if any of the arguments are true. So let's just say, for the sake, we're just looking for things that happen on Sunday or Monday. Say those are two hot days that things are happening. I know you could probably just go in and filter the data, but for argument's sake and showing the process of this, we're going to go ahead and look for that B2 column to equal Sunday. And then, or we want B2 to equal Monday. So this gives it a choice. We'll close the parentheses off there, and just like with the and function, this goes back, and moving back outwards to where we started with the if function. So that has become our logical test for the if function is either Sunday or Monday. And we'll do the same thing. And if true, we want it to say trend. And if false, we just want it to be blank. And when you pull that down here, you can see a couple of these were on Sundays and Mondays, so it will capture either of those. This one, I honestly, I don't use this one too often, but it's grouped in with an and or combined with this. I just find it to be kind of a clunky way of looking at this, but you start it the same way as the others with the if, and then go into not. So it's basically changing false to true or true to false, what it says here. The way I've seen it explained is if, let's say in this circumstance, we have increase in window break, auto burgs. We don't know anything else about it. It's hard to rule out unlocked vehicles as well. Most likely someone's going lift and handle. If it's not unlocked, they will break the window. But in this case, we haven't had anybody prying into vehicles. So we have multiple things. So I could do an and function with it, which is what I typically would do, I guess. But you could look at it this way and say, essentially, the one thing we're ruling out is if a pry entry into a vehicle. So we're going to go to that E2. So we're saying if E2 equals pry, so if it's not that, anything other than that being a pry, we want it to say trend. And if it is a pry, essentially we're going to have it say false. So it should be on here. Yeah, pretty much everything but those that have pry on there. So like I say, it's kind of a clunky way of looking at it, saying if not this, then I want this is the true statement. But you can use that, especially in circumstances where it might be one thing you're ruling out and everything else is okay for your logical statement. So, and beyond that, one other thing you can do is combine all these together. The more complicated you get in what you're asking, the more functions you might have to add together in a formula here. So let's say we are looking for kind of going back to some of these things. Let's say the trend is Sundays and Mondays for unlocked vehicles. That is what we're seeing in the area. So we're going to look through real quick and see what of ours meets that criteria. So same way, we're going to start with if, and the way this works, you go straight to the and then I'll go to or. So you see I have all three of those in a row here. So we're going to start with the or first. So the first part of our logical test is going to be that Sunday or Monday. So B2 equals Sunday or B2 equals Monday. And I close the parentheses out there, and you see it kind of works from inside out back through those functions here. Now we're back on the and function. So the first part of this and is going to be Sunday or Monday, and we want it to be unlocked vehicles. So E2 equal unlocked. All right, and then close the parentheses there. So that has become our logical test for the if function. So we're saying if the vehicle's unlocked and it happened on Sunday or Monday, if that's the case, we want it to say trend. And if it's not, we just want to leave it blank. So let's see how many of these we have, and we have 2. So this was an unlocked vehicle on Monday, and this one was an unlocked vehicle on Sunday. So like I say, if you have a more complicated logical test you're looking through and you wanted to spit out a certain result, you could always, try to do pivot tables. You can filter and filter multiple columns. If you have a lot of information, you have something specific you're looking for, and you feel comfortable using if functions and adding to it, these are a couple good options of how you can combine those, make a more complicated formula, but pick out more data from your set. If you found this tutorial helpful and would like to see more, click like and subscribe. The next video coming up is going to be over using the forecast function to make predictions.